How did I improve my German speaking skills just within 6 months? In this video, I'm going to share everything. I came up with a strategy that included 6 points, and let me share these 6 points with you so that you can also improve your German speaking skills. I've received so many compliments concerning my German and how I speak and how good it is. I also remember my time when I had just come to German. I had been here for about 5 months, and then I was in something called a Rufbus. A Rufbus is like a taxi or a bus which is on schedule, but only comes when you call them. That's why they're called Rufbus from Anrufen. They usually operate in villages. So during the ride, we start having a conversation, and the gentleman asked me, Kollege, seit wann bist du in Deutschland? And I'm like, I've been in German for only 5 months. And the guy's like, no, you're lying to me. Your German is very good. He was really impressed that my German was that good. He really asked me, how did you do it? So it is very possible that you can improve your German speaking skills. So how did I do it? In this video, I'm going to share everything. Point number 1, I learned all the sounds of the German alphabet. This is very important. You might be like, but how is this important? All the words we speak in German are actually made from these very alphabets that we read in German. That's something that I did. So I practiced all those letters from A, B, C, D, E, F. I literally practiced all of them. I repeated after the teacher. I kept repeating how those letters are said until I had the intonation right. That goes a long way in improving the way you sound and how you speak very well. For example, special letters like C. C sounds like T. It's like when you have T, S, E. C is like T. Then special letters like J, which in German is called J. The letter J in German takes on the pronunciation of the letter Y in English. And then I went on to master letters like R. The way the Germans speak their R is it's from the throat here. They don't say R like from the front, but it's R.
R. This is the R. Groß.
Which is like almost at the throat. So that's something I paid attention to. Then other letters like F, which is of course V, and V takes on the sound of F in English. Then V, so V is like the W that we have in German, but it takes on the sound of V in English. So I paid attention to how all these letters are pronounced. In one of my coaching classes, because I coach some people in German, there is a gentleman who is actually at B2. I'm going through some speaking with him. When it came to pronouncing, for example, the word sugar, instead of saying Zucker like it's supposed to be pronounced in German, he was calling it Zuger because the Z in German is pronounced as Z. It's like how you say Z, but you add T at the end, so it is Z. Don't underestimate the importance of the alphabet, guys. So other than those special letters, I also encourage you to master how those letters with umlauts are pronounced, like the A with umlaut, the O with umlaut, and the U with umlaut. So my technique was simple. I simply repeated and kept repeating these letters until I nailed the pronunciation of all the German alphabet. So my point number 2 is that I mastered all the special letter combinations in German. All words are simply a combination of letters and how they are pronounced. One of the things I paid attention to when I was mastering different letter combinations is I paid and zeroed in attention to one of these very notorious letters in German, and that is the letter S. The letter S is notorious because it keeps on taking on different sounds depending on the position it is holding in the word. For example, every time the letter S is behind a consonant in a word, it takes on the sound of SH in English. So, for example, the word start. In German, it is written the same word, start, but it's not pronounced as start, it's pronounced as Stadt. When you have a word like stop, same word in English, same spelling in German, but in German it reads as stop. Words like spät. So as long as it is behind a consonant, it takes on sh sound. But the moment it is behind a vowel, then it takes on the sound of Z in English. For example, if I say salt, in English it's called salt, but in German it is called Salz. So words like Sieg, which means victory, Soy Sauce, which means soy sauce, Süß, which means sweet. And then this letter S, if it must sound similar to S in English, then it has to be a double S. So every time you see a double S or this letter which looks like a B, it takes on the sound of S, of letter S. For example, like how in this word I said Zeus. That's how those simple letter combinations are very important. Actually, I have done a whole video about letter combinations and how you can improve your pronunciation in German. In that video, you learn why, for example, EI in German is pronounced as I and why IE is pronounced as E. But it's important for you to pay attention to different letter combinations in German. people who don't master the basics of how letters are pronounced go on to make so many mistakes in their spoken German. Even if they've been here for a long time, you just notice that something is off with their speech. Go the hard way and make sure that you master these first two things I've mentioned. So my point number 3 is that I mastered the first 1000 words in German. Now, that is very important. Why is it important? Every language is basically a combination of words and some few symbols and signs to communicate meaning. Words are like the building block of the language. You cannot do without them. Learn from the inside out of your circle. Learn the most important things first and then go on to learn the other things that you'll need elsewhere. But first things first, what is your toothbrush called? What is toothpaste called? What is a plate called? How is your bed called? What is the cover called? How is your shirt called? How is your trouser called? Learn those things. They should include something to do with how the days are called, the days of the week, and how months are called, and how the year is called, and how, different things. So when you go on to master that, then you are bringing yourself closer to being able to put together a sentence, to being able to speak. For you to go from 0 to putting a sentence together, you have to do these things in order as I have mentioned them above. The technique that I was using here is something called active recall and spaced repetition. Active recall is I learn a word and then during the revising, I tease myself to make sure I am remembering that word. There is an app which is very good with that. That app is called Anki. I keep speaking about Anki. Actually, recently I did a video about how to use Anki for beginners. You can check out that video. I have linked it somewhere up here. It should appear there, but don't go there yet. Just first stay here with me and then we finish this point before you go and watch that video. It's a very good app. It helps you learn vocabulary in such an easy way. So use Anki for your vocabulary to learn the first 1000 words. So my 4th point is master your grammar in a smart way. What do I mean by that? I want you to pay attention to one thing, that almost every verb in German ends with en. Usually most of these verbs have a one-way street of conjugating them. Learning that basic conjugation helps you to be able to put together statements. For example, a verb like machen, which means to do. When you come to conjugate it, you just keep removing some letters and adding some letters at the end depending on which person you're referring to. So if it is I make, you say ich mache, du machst, macht, wir machen. It helps you put together a sentence in a correlated way and then try to use them as soon as possible. If you're attending like language school, learn that basic conjugation from school, but also I encourage that you add maybe at least one source on top of that, to have at least a maximum of 2 sources. Don't have again very many sources that will overwhelm your brain. Just have 1 or 2 sources from which you're learning the grammar. Now, once you do that, let's mention point number 5, which is very important. Number 5 is learn in chunks. Yes, you're making progress. You know how the letters are pronounced. You know special letter combinations. You've mastered your first 1000 words. You've mastered basics of conjugation. There are statements in German that you'll not have to understand. You'll have to learn them wholesome. You can chew on them later and you'll understand them later. But in the basics, the very, very beginning aspect of learning the language, just learn these statements the way they are, the way they come at you. Actually, if you're using Anki, this is also a trick I use, that when I hear somebody say something, I'll write it down and then I just put that in Anki and try to actively recall that and then use it in the similar context when I'm talking to somebody else. That helps because the brain starts to make sense of things. It's like the way God created the brain is that it has a way of solving problems subconsciously. One time you wake up and there's some things which make sense that weren't making sense earlier, even if nobody has explained them to you. So take on these chunks of statements, learn in chunks. If somebody has made a very beautiful line and you like how they have said it, record it, write it down, and then go and use the very line in a similar context. And sometimes, of course, you can also Google and see how this statement fits in and all that, but learn from people, the way they are speaking. Just copy their sentences and paste them in your speech. That will help you. It will improve your spoken German. Yeah, so statements like Guten Morgen, Wie geht's dir, Guten Tag. When you look at these statements, actually, why somebody says Guten Morgen and not Guten Morgen is because they are saying Ich wünsche dir ein Guten Morgen. And when you're wishing somebody, it takes on like the accusative form, Guten Tag. Why not Guter Tag and Guten Tag? Why is it that when we are saying, oh, today is a good day, we say it's ein Guter Tag? And when you're telling somebody, have a good day or good afternoon, you say Guten Tag. So it takes on different shapes, but for the moment, you don't have to go into the complication of explaining why it is like how and how. For example, some of the things have just made sense to me right now, but when I was just starting to learn, I just took it on the way it came at me. In the morning, you say Guten Morgen. In the afternoon, you say Guten Tag. In the evening, you say Guten Abend, and then Guten Nacht for good night. The other nuances will come in later, but for now, just learn those chunks the way they come at you, those combinations of words. They make you sound pro, you know? Now, before I give us the final tip, I kindly request that you please like the video, consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already, and leave a comment on some of the things that I'm saying. If you find them helpful, yeah, just leave a comment down there. Yeah. So number 6, and of course it's the last but most important tip, and that is practice, and then practice, and then practice. I don't know how I can emphasize this well and long enough, but it is important for you to actually step out into the real world and start to practice your statements out. Because many people, when they learn, they kind of just wait for perfect moments for them to speak. That 1 hour or that moment will not come when you'll be perfect before you speak. That logic doesn't work. When you try out speaking the language, you start having some small wins. You start to gather evidence that actually you can hold a conversation. As you speak those statements, they kind of give you evidence that you can speak German, and then that evidence gives you more confidence. Then you speak, and it's like a spiral which goes on, and you keep speaking and you keep speaking. To be honest, when I had just come in German, everybody I spoke to was really impressed at how good my German was. The magic was simple. I never waited for a perfect moment for me to speak. I just stepped out and practiced and practiced and practiced. I have spoken about learning vocabulary and the first 1,000 words. That can actually be a challenge. One of the ways you can learn those words, like I said, is using Anki. In case you don't know about Anki, check out this video. It's a basic guide for beginners for Anki. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment. I hope I see you in that video. Bye.